Someone let me know you can hear me. All right. How can I use my Kindle Fire to access the FTC portal? I have no idea, Joanne. I don't have a Kindle Fire. So, sorry. I don't even know how they work. I thought they were to read books. Okay. Any questions? Welcome to the webinar. It's Friday, 7:20. Whoa, Chris Feltus, man, you never leave me. You never leave us waiting very long. Okay. Estimating cost for granite in the kitchen specifically. In Module 3, you stated general rule of thumb, $3 per square foot of the house. This number seems very high to me. For instance, a 1,500 square foot house, if you wanted to give the kitchen granite countertops, it would be $4,500 for the tops alone, not including renovating the rest of the kitchen, such as cabinets. Okay, so Chris, the $3 a foot would be for all the, that $4,500 would be for all the bathrooms and the kitchen, not just for the kitchen. So that's where that 3 comes from. And again, some of the numbers are high, but they're high because you know, we don't have any control over where people get their materials. Carlos asked, when buying a house sub 2, to use a title company, or do you simply have the seller sign a quitclaim deed? Well, you don't do a quitclaim deed and you don't do a title company. Carlos, you need to watch the modules in there, or just contact George for information on sub 2s. If parties sign and execute a contract on a Friday, does that mean the effective date of the contract begins on Monday? No, the effective date is the effective date. It's the date that all parts of the contract are signed. With a kitchen remodel, how much would you spend on a 125 house? There's no way to answer that question. Just depends. Are you talking about just remodeling the kitchen? Are you talking about cabinets too, refinishing the cabinets, ripping out the cabinets, granite? How big is the kitchen? Dishwasher? Are you doing appliances? It just depends. There's no way to answer that. In the lead-based painted addendum, there's a portion stating the buyers received a copy of Protect Your Family from Lead in the Home. To check this box, does that mean that you have to physically hand a copy of this book to your investor? Yes, it would. Are options in business days or calendar days? They're calendar days. So if I was to sign a contract with a 10-day option, the option, and today was the effective day, the option would start tomorrow morning. Joanne, you just typed, what was the question? I've unmuted you, Joanne. Can you hear me? Guess not. So you asked what was the question? I'm afraid I don't understand that. on a second, folks. Okay, George is going to be able to find his way in. So, Joanne, the question was about the kitchen. Was Chris mentioned that in the portal we teach that it's about $3 a foot to replace the granite in the house, and he was saying that some kitchens are in L shape and they have less, and that would only be about $1,500. And I said that the $3 a foot would be for the entire house. So if you go $3 a foot of a 1,500 square foot house, you're looking at a $4,500 budget for all the granite in the house. Now, yes, there'll be some houses that's only $2,000, $2,500, but we've got to give you guys rules of thumb because we can't see every house that you want to evaluate. Chris asked, I've read on some you are not supposed to write and/or assigns, and I've read on some websites you don't have to write and/or assigns in the buyer portion, and on some it says you're going to. Is this correct, or do you include it? I did not include it. You're not required to write and/or assigns on the buyer line. Next question.
Hey, Tim.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Excellent. How are you today?
Good. Hey, I'm not seeing the questions, but I'm listed as a panelist, so
stand by.
Do you want me to? Can you turn me on, or do you want me to come in as an organizer?
You are now an organizer.
Got it. Okay.
So Randy asked, if we contract a home with past due taxes, does that stop collections until closing? No. The county will not care if you have it under contract or not. You can call them and ask them to put off the foreclosure, but most likely they're not going to. Corey asked, does the lender know I am taking over payments on the first lien on a sub 2? George?
Which one? Okay, 5 options.
No, we're on Corey's Corey. The last question, Corey down in San Antonio is asking about, does the lender know?
Does the lender know I'm taking over the payments on the first lien on the take over the payment deal? It's up to. I typically don't send any notification to the lender. What I do is, if you're going to do an assignment, you need to. I think the seller and the buyer need to know exactly that there is a chance that the lender could call the loan. And, what do you do if that happens? So anytime, Corey, that ownership is transferred without the lender's consent, the lender has the right to accelerate the loan. So if you're assigning a subject to deal and you did not, and even though you just assigned it, it needs to be in black and white that the buyer understands that the loan can be called because of this. Now, the likelihood that they do is pretty minimal, but the fact is you need to have the seller and the buyer both agree and put in writing that they understand that that could happen. And if they're not, that in itself will scare some people, and it'll scare the seller or scare the buyer, and you won't be able to assign this contract because of that. But I'd rather have it in writing and make sure that everyone knows than not disclose, and then I'm in a lawsuit. Just wanted to say thanks for offering. All right, so, Chris, yeah, I appreciate the words for the audience. He just said, hey, thanks for putting this out. And, the question was, are you worried that a handful of students will become so efficient that you lose bids on houses to them in the future? you know, I mean, I've never worried about, I don't know, I like to know about the competition, but I think there's, you know, and I'm sure that Tim and I are going to run into a house that both we, you know, the seller called us and one of our students, and it's probably not going to happen that much, but I'm sure it's already happened in the past that, you know, bottom line is we have to be there. So you have to you do what you do and let the chips fall where they may.
I've never worried about competition, and not because of arrogance, but because of no matter what you do, you're going to have competition. And competition's healthy. It keeps you honest, keeps you focused. And, you know, I mean, and I just hope that when you guys come across me in the field that you work with me, not against me.
Hey, Tim, I got to run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I.e., you know, Randy McFeely and I have worked on 3 deals in the last, or 4 deals in the last 2 months. And I got my master, 4 deals. And, you know, now he called me today about one he's going to tomorrow. And I'm actually going there at 2 o'clock today. So now Randy and I are working on it together. You know, that's it. It's the old adage of, would you rather have 50% of something or 100% of nothing? And I always choose 50% of something. It's just, that's my mentality. It's an attitude of abundance and not of greed. And so no, I don't worry about competition. George, when buying a house subject to, how do you normally? We'll wait for George on that one. We'll wait for George on that one. When will the investor mail be up and running? Corey, that is a great question. We are trying. That's about half my time right now is going towards that. The new portal is awesome, and we are testing it, and we are making sure it works perfectly. They've told us the 23rd. I'd be lying to you if I thought it was going to be ready on the 23rd. I would imagine probably next Friday we should be able to get you guys into it, and then we're going to hold off letting anyone else into it until you guys get in, then if you guys don't have any problems and get your August mailers out, then we're going to open it up to the world. So I know I sound kind of down. It's been a beat down, but it's 10 times better. You mentioned you'd be here on the 21st. Are you holding an event down here? If so, when and where? Hey, Corey, I will be at the Real Estate Investor Club of San Antonio, with Scott Carson's club and Joseph Irons' club tomorrow. It starts at 10 o'clock, and I'll give you the link here. So, yeah, I'll be there at 10 o'clock tomorrow. If you come down, I'd love to have lunch with you afterwards. I'm very interested in San Antonio and the San Antonio market right now, and we've actually put some money together to buy some houses down there. So come on out and network, and then maybe we can go grab some lunch and chit-chat. As most of you know, I never chit-chat, so I'll be there. If you can't make it at 10, Corey, I'll be in San Antonio. I leave at 4:30, so I land at 10, and I'll leave at 4:30. So anytime between then, that'd be great. Let me know. You got my cell phone number. Carlos, Joanne, we're going to get to your questions in just a second when George comes back from the potty. Any other questions? Okay. Well, no other questions right now. In August, I'm looking at holding an event, a 2-day event, and I'm going to let you guys in free. So while I'm going to do something real quick. so I don't have to count. Y'all think of questions and type some questions. What weekend is best? Huh. I just scheduled a business trip when I'm going to be in Florida. That's stupid. So we got to fix that. So I am going to launch a poll. I'm going to have a 2-day meeting. And you guys get in free, so I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's going to be a 2-day training session about buying and selling just A to Z, 8 hours each day. It's free for y'all, so I just need to know if you were going to come. You don't have to go, but if you were going to come, which weekend would be best for you? It'll be probably mid-cities to North Dallas somewhere, probably at 35 and 635, somewhere in there. Again, even if this isn't a commitment to go, but I just need to know which weekend would be best for, if you were to come to a 2-day class, which weekend would be best for you? And it would be free if you did come. I'm not trying to get money out of you. Got a hand raised. Hey, Corey, do you want to talk? Okay, I guess he didn't want to talk. Maybe he didn't mean to raise his hand. Corey, I just tried to unmute you, but it was rather loud in the background. So, all right, only 59% of you have voted. Let me know. Okay, we got some more questions now. I'm going to leave the poll open. So, Tim, how would you recommend approaching investors to building a buyer's list at a meetup? I was thinking just walk up to them, hey, my name's Chris. I own a real estate investment company. Where are you looking to buy, flip, rent, what price, etc. Yeah, I mean, that's what you do. I mean, you really you just want to walk up to them and say, hey, you know, I mean, I just tell people, you walk up, hey, what do you do? Yeah, I buy, I wholesale, etc. And you ask them where at. And then you just ask them what they're looking for. And you find out if they're looking for rentals. If they say rentals, you ask them, you know, do you pay cash? Do you get a bank line? How long does it take you to close? Do you ask them some tough questions? How many do you buy? How many, you know, do you need an inspection? Do you need an option? You just ask them those type of things, and that will give you a good understanding of that person and what it is they're looking to do, and then from there, you begin you try to segment your list to where you're. It's like one that Randy and I are working. We're trying to pre-sell it before it even hits the list today. We'll still promote it so that Randy can build more of a buyer's list, but we're trying to pre-sell it because we've got 3 or 4 people that we know that are looking for a low $30,000 cash flow property that they can just pay cash for and rent it out. So Jason is taking that list, and he's calling people today, and I told him, you know, he's got a little bit of time, and then it's going out to the entire buyer's list. So do students get a discount at the REI expos? Yes. whenever the admission goes on sale for an REI Expo, it'll be posted in the portal. You guys will always get a discount to pretty much anything I do unless I have a partner that's not okay with it. But in the case of the REI Expo, I'm in charge, so yay, we get a discount. Is there an advantage or disadvantage to having your realtor license? I don't think there's an advantage or a disadvantage. I mean, the only advantage is you have guaranteed access to MLS, and you don't have to marry a realtor like I did. So that's about the only advantage. There's no disadvantage, though. On takeover payments, okay, that'll be a question for George. Are the webinars scheduled to go with the modules? No, I don't think so. The webinars are just they're questions. They're just I mean they're question and answers. They're not coaching calls. It's just question and answers. The weekend of the first weekend of August, I will actually be in Florida. So yeah, so you guys mark your calendar. I will not be available for anything from Sunday the 29th through Saturday the 5th. So that call on the 3rd, George will be doing alone with you guys. He's more than capable, though. But yeah, the first weekend of August, I'm not available. Sorry. So I can't hold a seminar in Dallas if I'm in Florida. After you ask them, do you just exchange cards real fast and try to get their email and then the contact details are at the meeting? Yeah, I mean, Chris, it's all about quantity for me. I say collect as many, go to every REI group you can, collect as many business cards as you can, go back, put them in MailChimp or whatever your email software is immediately, and then change the welcome email, the opt-in email, hey, nice to meet you last night. Click here so that I can send you every property to meet your criteria, that kind of thing. But, a lot of these mail softwares have a different list. You can manage the list. You can have a list for Tarrant County. You can have a list for Dallas County. Like I have a Tarrant County list, I have a Dallas County list, and then I have an all wholesale properties list. So that's how I manage mine. I know there's still 3 questions hanging out there, but I'm not going to answer the I'm not going to answer any of the questions about the sub 2 stuff because, like I said, I don't do that. Okay, comp question. If there is one fully updated property comp available that sold for $150 and 3 comps for outdated solds averaging $110, would you value the ARV of the possible acquisition at the fully rehabbed sold price or the non-updated price used to estimate the ARV to? So what I would do is actually I would average them out. So on a house like that, if I had one 150 and 2 110s, I would probably make my purchasing decision based off of about 130. So your marketing decisions may be a little higher than 130, but your purchasing decision would need to be about 130. Given those numbers, I wouldn't feel comfortable going above 130 for the purchasing decision. Okay, George is back, so we're going to go back up to Carlos's question. George, if you look in the question panel, it's at the 211, At 12:11, Carlos asked, George, when buying a house sub 2, how do you normally close? With the title company or a simple quitclaim deed, or is there a better way?
All right. So when I am buying a house, Carlos, I typically will I will not close at a title company. That's me, but I'm very fluent at how to do a title search. I'll get a title opinion, but then I'll draw up my own documents. So when buying a house subject to, how do you normally close? I think it's safer if you close, at a title company. And what's going to happen is you're going to buy a policy, and they're going to exclude the lien that you're taking over, Carlos. So they're not going to have coverage of that lien in the title insurance, but at the end of the day, you already know about that lien, so why do you need to insure it, is my contingency. But it still will protect you from other liens that could pop up. So what I do and what I would tell you to do are two different things. Me, I would do my own title search, and I wouldn't close. I have my own papers. All I need is a notary. But for you, Carlos, if you need that security blanket, and you need to, I had a discussion with Hudson Henley yesterday about this, and he's the owner. He and his brother are the owners of Adobe Title. So, they're willing to do. They don't want me to broadcast it, but they will do these types of transactions. It's not, they don't want to have a business model based on it, but they will absolutely close those. And, their incentive is we can get the title insurance. There's more risk, but as long as everyone's fully, there's disclosure documents, then they'll close those transactions.
Okay, so Corey asked, on the takeover payments, I want to keep it and use it for a rental. How do I assure myself the payments are being made to the lender and the owner is not pocketing the money? George?
All right, hold on. Where are we? Is this back? Now are we? What number? I'm sorry.
It's right about 1220. It was Corey. He asked, how does he make, if he does a sub 2 to keep it as a rental, how does he make sure the original owner is actually paying the mortgage company?
Yeah, I see it. Okay, I'm taking it. I want to keep it and use it for a rental. How do I assure that the payments are being made to the lender and the owner is not pocketing? Okay, so basically, Corey, if I were, let's just everybody, understand this. In this example, Corey is the seller, and I am the buyer. So I've approached the homeowner through my marketing pieces, and the homeowner does not have a lot of equity, although I, as an investor, believe that this is I think the market value will increase, and I can cash flow the property. So it's not really cash now, which is, an assignment strategy. It's a cash flow strategy. So what I would do is I would draw up the contract, and Corey would be the seller, and I'd be the buyer. And then I would get the paper, the loan documents, and I would make the payments. There's two things you can do, class or audience. Number one is you can set up a third-party servicing company. And so what I would do, this is option A, is I would pay the third-party servicing company every month, and then they would pay the mortgage. So that way the seller knows that the mortgage was paid, and I know the mortgage was paid because I'm going to a third party. Or option B, which I typically do, is I make the mortgage payments directly. Corey, I would not send my payments to you and rely on you to make the mortgage payments. I would write a check, and this is what I do 18 times every month, is I write a check to the former homeowner's bank, and every month they cash that check. So I make the payments directly to the lender. The statements still have Corey's name on it because he is listed as the borrower, but I make his payments, guys, and that's how I do it. You could get a third-party servicing company. It costs around $20 to $25 a month. To me, it's easier, is this, I always tell the seller, look, it's in your name, so you can contact the bank at any time and make sure that I'm making the payments. Sometimes they say, you know what, I don't want to do that, and then I would go the servicing route and get a third-party servicer. Does that answer your question? I hope everyone understands, or kind of that made sense.
Very precise. So the next one is, where can we buy a lockbox? I buy the Master Lock boxes at Home Depot, Chris. I think they're $25, $30, something like that. They're the gray ones. They've got a bigger shackle, so they fit on almost every doorknob. We're supposed to be on a list in order to get the investor direct mail when it's released. No, Cheryl, you are on the list, so you will get access if you have access, right? And if you're an active student. Is flipping looking...
Hey, how did you answer? I'm curious, not to go back, Tim, but how did you answer Tom's question about getting a license or not?
I said there was no benefit unless you just, I mean, there's no disadvantage. The only advantage I could think about would be that you have your own access to MLS.
Right. Okay. I mean, I think I think there's a big fear of having your license equals you can't be an investor. And I think there's some truth to that. But the only truth to it is failure to disclose. You know, I mean, but Tim, you've used the example of whenever Heritage Homes or, you know, Jennifer Investments, I mean, Rainey Investments or whatever entity, because she has a license, you had to tweak your copy a little bit on your postcard. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so I think there's just, you know, having a license means you have to disclose more. So, and once you disclose, then Trek's happy, and you know, I think you're being compliant. Lockbox, okay, I'm coming up.
Okay.
Who's supposed to be on the list? Yeah.
We're at 1225. Is flipping looking easier to do in the current market? Yeah, I guess, Tom, but like I told you earlier today, I don't really sell to flippers because the buy and hold guys pay more. Joanne asked, do you store lists in MailChimp or in your own database? The answer to that is I store them in MailChimp or Infusionsoft or Aweber, and I keep a copy on my computer in Excel. I don't actually use a database program.
And you're talking, I guess Joanne was talking about your cash buyer database.
Yeah, I mean, I just keep a backup on my computer.
Yeah.
In case MailChimp goes out of business.
Right.
Randy asked, does Real Prospect do the same thing, MailChimp, as far as buyers list? It does. It keeps a little bit more detailed, but the problem is Real Prospect can't send out 3,000 emails for you. So that's why I need one of the online marketing platforms. Okay, Rod has a question for you, George.
All right. When doing a sub-2 deal, I heard from an attorney that you are much more likely to get caught or a due-on-sale exercise when a federally insured lender is involved. This attorney said you need an authorization to act as agent form signed when dealing with such a lender. Does this sound consistent with what you have seen or inconsistent with your experience? You know, I don't think I don't necessarily agree. I mean, I've taken, you know, out of the 18 that I pay right now, I would probably say 15 are federally insured. So, and I've never had an issue them calling the loan, and honestly, you know, an authorization to act, I think that you need a letter of authorization anyway and a power of attorney. So if I were buying your house, Rod, number one, I'd get a deed putting it in my entity name or my family trust name. Number two, I'd get a letter of authorization, and that's not as powerful as the third one, which is a power of attorney specific to this piece of real estate, specific to this house. So again, when I close, Rod, I'm going to have a couple disclosures that the seller signs, understanding that, you know, they need to understand that the loan could be called, and then they're going to sign a deed transferring ownership over to me. They're going to sign a letter of authorization, which is kind of like this authorization to act. And then I also have the most powerful, besides the deed, is the power of attorney. And again, I can't make medical decisions, but I can make any legal and lawful decision for this specific property. Both either expert. When you are selling a house, say $80,000, would you consider using a flat fee MLS realtor? Yes. I would say, yeah. I mean, I know a flat fee realtor, Daniel Noir, and you know what you get. I would, if I did not have my license, I would look at it. You know, but because at the end of the day, Rod, what you need is you need eyeballs on the opportunity, right? Eyeballs on the opportunity. So if you get a good deal, or if you have a deal, you want as many eyeballs on that. And without breaking the bank, a flat fee is one way of getting other eyeballs on there. All right. George, you discussed a W-2 and making the payment. You discussed the W-2 of making the payment. How do you capture the interest deduction, or do you allow the seller to continue to deduct the mortgage interest? No, I mean, David, I want you to understand that if you make the mortgage payments, you're the one that can deduct them from, you get the deductions, not the seller. I mean, it's fraud. It's fraudulent for the seller to deduct that. So if I own the, let me make sure I'm very clear. I am the owner of this property. I am making the interest, I'm making payments, which are the interest payments on this loan. It doesn't matter, David, that the loan is not in my name. It's he who makes the interest payments gets the write-offs. Okay, period. He who makes the interest payments gets the write-offs. It doesn't matter, David, if I take over your loan, you can't write the interest payments off if you didn't make them. All right. Both, okay, yeah, there we go. With the IDM tool, can the text bullets be varied? Yes. So I guess you're talking about the basic black and white. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the basic black and white postcard, Rod, which is in the Investor Direct Mail portal. So can you modify those or edit those? Yes.
Yes,
but
and actually, in the current IDM portal, you cannot. In the new one, yes, the entire postcard is editable. That's a word I've had to learn how to say, editable.
I know. You're doing so good on that. You've done that a couple of times, and I'm like, way to go.
Debbie Spray and I have been focused on making sure that you guys are happy and that everything's editable.
Editable. See, now I can't do it. Editable. Yeah. All right. On subject to deals, is it tricky getting added to the insurance without becoming an issue with the lender? For some, yeah. I mean, basically, Cheryl, that you want to add your name as an additional bit, additional insurer. And there are some insurance companies that are going to throw up, that they'll say we can't do that. It's our policy that we do not allow that. And I'd say, okay, then you need the answer, Cheryl, is not to walk away from the deal. You need to. That's why it's important, and we talk about this in Module 1, is building your team. I think one team member, if you are going to, you're going to do subject to deals, either assign them or buy them yourself. And this course is not about buying; it's about assigning. But I think it's important that you have a insurance guy or gal who is familiar with this, and you get insurance through them. If I were to buy your house, Cheryl, on a subject-to transaction, I would find out your insurance company. I would contact them and say, I need to add my name on. I'm going to keep Cheryl's name on this insurance, but I need to add my name to the policy. Is there a problem with doing that? Oh, by the way, here's my authorization to act on behalf of Cheryl. So they'll talk to me. And then after I give them that document, I basically would propose that question. If they say, yes, we have a problem, that say, okay, what I'm going to do is cancel this insurance, and I'm going to go to my guy or gal, and I'm going to add Cheryl's name to the insurance in my. Okay. Yes. Thanks. When will we be able to edit the new idea? What do you think?
As I said earlier, they said the 23rd. I'm hoping to get you guys in by next Friday, but I can't guarantee that. So for now, you need to just plan on using the current one for the next couple weeks. I'm hoping to get it done by next Friday, but so far, guys, I mean, we're testing, we're going through it, we're working, but I'm not going to release something that has a bunch of bugs, and even worse case that you guys pay money and then something doesn't go out right. So as soon as it's ready to flip that contract, students will get it first and immediately.
Okay, so Dwight, do you have the power of attorney legal document form you would recommend to us? Yes. I'll send it. How do we get this to them, Tim? Do I just put it in the document library on flip that contract? Okay. Yeah, I'll load that to the documents, Dwight. And look, I mean, I'm a little concerned, Dwight, that you're going to start doing some stuff and you're not going to do it right. But you know, I'm not an attorney, although I played one on TV. No, I'm kidding. So I can load it, but if you're out there, you know, here's my request is that you either talk to an attorney or you talk to me when we figure out a way to compensate me or Tim, and it's going to most likely be me, because I'm as far as answering your questions, Dwight, on how to package up these deals. But I can give you the POA, and I'm just a little concerned that you're going to do transactions the wrong way. So anyway, I'll do that, but I just wanted to put that word of caution out there. All right, what would happen if the bank called the note and the due on sale clause? Basically, this needs to be discussed. I mean, there needs to be some protocol. What I would say is, Tom, if I'm going to buy your house, I'm going to take over the loan. There's a chance that the bank could call it, and then 3 months later they do. At that time, you know, what I would say is I have to refinance the house, or it's going to get foreclosed on. And what I typically put in is if the bank calls the loan, then, you know, I'm not in a position where I can refinance it. Then I give the seller the opportunity to, you know, I can put it back in his name, because I don't want to let the house foreclose on. But bottom line is the lender has the right, and so we have to be prepared for that. I could provide it back. If I'm not able to refinance, then I got to give it back to the seller. Period. I can't let the seller go down with a sinking ship without giving it back to them and having them have an opportunity to do something. What would happen? Okay. George is not cool. What, Rod? No, I'm kidding. Do either of you have a class we can take or plan on offering through an FTC module on title searches? In one of George's coaching calls, George briefly did a title search, but I need something more in depth. Let's see. What do you want to do, Tim? I mean,
I'm not offering it. That's your call, buddy.
I know. I mean, that's fine.
I mean, don't you have that online at Roddy.com?
Yeah, I mean, it's online, yeah.
I mean,
And it's
did you ever get the
$59
shopping
for
cart
online,
tickets?
Chris. Huh?
Did you ever get is a shopping cart live where they could just go on there and pick any of your online classes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's online. If you go to Roddy.com, I've got like a 3.5-hour training on title searches, Chris. So anyway, spend $60. George, is your buy call worksheet you're working on almost done? Yeah, but we're working on Yes, it's already done. So let me write that down, the POA and the buy call worksheet. Now there's already a buy call worksheet in there, right, Tim?
Yes.
All right. I'll load that along with the POA. So go into the document library, Chris, and you'll get the revised one. How will the seller get into a new home with a takeover payments deal? Basically, you write up the offer with the seller, Corey, where you're the buyer and the seller's the seller, and you write it up where that on the Exhibit A that says the buyer, which is you, has the right to take over the payments. And then you would take that deal and start advertising that deal on Craigslist or Backpage or however you want to advertise it, whether we're not advocates of bandit signs, but you know, Craigslist is a good way to start getting that deal out to the masses. Someone calls you, Corey, and says, hey, I saw your ad, and basically, here, you know, if we just run through the numbers, and I know this is not a training call, Tim, I'm starting to train more than answer questions, so.
You got 12 minutes.
All right. Here's the situation. You got a $200,000 house. The loan balance, Corey, is $194. You write it up for $195. Okay? Period. I mean, that you're going to give, so what are you going to give the seller? You're going to give the seller $1,000. Let's say actually, let me retract that. I want to give the seller $2,000. So I'm going to write it up for $196. I'm going to write up my contract that says $196,000. On the exhibit, I'm going to have an attachment that says, I am not going to pay off your loan, Corey. I am going to take over your payments, and the estimated balance is $194, right? So now I have that under contract. And Corey, I wrote in that I have 20 days as an option period. An option period, and I'm going to give you $20 for 20 days. Is that realistic? I don't know. I mean, I've paid $20 for 20 days. If I have to pay $100, it doesn't matter. You get the point. So I immediately put this, I immediately go to Craigslist, I upload the photos, and I advertise. I say, awesome house in Alamo Heights, and I'm saying that because Corey, I think you're in San Antonio, whatever, you know, north of the Loop, 1604, and, you know, great house, 2,600 square feet, for $206. Sales price $206. Payments are $1,700. That's how you're going to throw up a couple, and financing. Built-in financing, no bank needed. Built-in financing, no bank approval needed. All right, Corey, you following me? So basically, if we run the numbers, it's $196 is what we have it under contract for. You're trying to find someone who will pay $206. But the biggest thing that I want you to bold, I want you to make bigger is the $1,700 payment. $1,700 a month, $10,000 down. So basically, I want you to highlight what you're selling is. You're selling the, you know, that. You're selling. You're selling the financing. Does that make sense? So you're going to try to get $10,000 as the down payment, and then you assign that contract, and your assignment fee is $10,000, Corey, minus if there were closing costs. Maybe you pass that closing cost on to the buyer, but that's how I would structure it. And there's a, you know, but you need to have everybody sign documents stating that they know that this loan could be called, and what happens if it is. All right. Do either of you have a class we can take on title search? I've done that one. George, is your buy call? Yeah. Tim, do you do a title search before you go on an appointment to make sure they owe nothing or a little less?
No.
I know George does. Yeah. I didn't think Tim did.
No. I drive, I look, I make offer.
All right.
Carlos says
Why
that
can't
the
we
title.
see what he is typing? Randy is wondering what you're typing and why he can't see what you're typing.
Oh, Randy, I'm okay. You want the truth? I'll give you the truth. Randy, I'm actually typing an email that's advertising a house for sale on Sharon and Garland, and a Houston REI Expo, and a San Antonio direct mail class, and a Homevestor class. So, I'm also typing notes on things that we need to add to the IDM portal, as well as typing notes on what I need to add to the FTC portal. So you can't see it because it's private. Okay, so why don't I run a title search, and how much time per day per week do I spend in the car? Oh, you thought George was showing his explanation. No, George can't type that fast. So Cheryl and Chris, I'll tell you this. I don't do a title search because it just, to me, I make my money being in the field. I make my money looking at houses. I make my money talking to people. And as I told you guys, I mean, sometimes I just don't care what they owe. If it's a good house in a good area, if there's money to be made, I can probably figure it out. And it's just the way I go. And how much time per day per week do I spend in the car? It varies. I mean, I actually have only spent about 20 minutes in my office this week. Right now, this webinar is coming to you live from the Homevestors corporate office in downtown Dallas, because I was up here working on the 2-day training event we're going to do with them. And then from here, I've got to go to Oak Cliff and look at a house in an hour and 6 minutes. So, and then from there, from Oak Cliff, I've got somewhere to be. And then I've got to go spend some time with my family because I'll leave for San Antonio tomorrow. I'm a very busy guy. I use about 7,000 minutes a month on my cell phone, if that makes sense to you, Cheryl. I mean, I'm never in an office. And if I am, it's because I haven't been there in a week and I've got a bunch of paperwork to do.
All right, so Joanne, you were asking, what does a title search reveal aside from outstanding liens? You know, I mean, it doesn't, I mean, it shows length of ownership or how long they've owned it, but at the end of the day, does that make a hill of beans with Tim and I? No. I do believe that, I'll give you one example. I sent out a bunch of postcards to pre-foreclosures. 4 days after I sent it, I got a call from a guy who owned a property in Richardson. The tax value was $180. He owed $80. So I can pull the trigger. I can assign that deal. If I could get it under contract for $90, I think I could make some money on that. I went out there. I looked at it. He agreed to $90. We wrote up the contract, and it needed some work, but I got that property under contract. I came back. Then I jumped on the computer and did a title search just because I wanted to know for my edification, and I learned that there was a $75,000 federal tax lien that was filed 2 years ago. And I didn't know about it. I didn't ask him before I went out there because I didn't know.
Well, George, you do a lot of those title researches because of the type of leads you work, right?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Tax liens and pre-foreclosures. I mean, you're talking about a lot of people that you work in your backyard are people that are very delinquent on multiple things.
Right.
I typically just deal with irresponsible homeowners.
Yeah. Yeah, that they're just tired homeowners or tired investors or whatever. So they might not be. And I think it's important, Tim, that you and I both there's motivated and there's distressed. You know, I mean, someone's motivated and then someone's distressed, like a pre-foreclosure, a tax lien, a post-bankruptcy. They're probably motivated, but they're in a distressed situation where they could lose ownership. That's more distressed versus motivated. So, yeah, I mean, my background's been more dealing with distressed people versus motivated. And that's why I've just kind of learned that I'd like to know how many liens there are before I go on the appointment. But I think a title search should take less than 10 minutes. I mean, most title searches, unless it's a very common name, 10 minutes I can get a once over and go, okay, there's 2 liens. Yeah, I bought it 16 years ago, and there's not any judgments that are popping up because I'm usually working with a short fuse, and I just want to know if I've got to get multiple lien holders negotiated. All right, y'all were perfect.
Wow. Okay, so focus is kind of my thing right now. Focus on what you want. Focus on what you need to do. Spend every hour you have, every minute you have free accomplishing your goals. And don't dwell on negativity because negative things happen. I got sued this week. I got sued by the city of Dallas for a house that I never even owned, that I did a double contract on 5 years ago. And that's one of those things that, when you get home and you've got service papers on your doorstep, and actually this was one of those, it was even worse because the service papers weren't even there. It was a note from the sheriff saying, hey, I've got these, you need to come get them. So all night I'm worried, I'm wondering what's this, what's that. But the point is, I told my wife, I said, I can't worry about that anymore. And I couldn't because at that point in time in my life at night, there was nothing I could have done about it. Nothing I could do was going to change the fact that there were service papers at the constable's office. So my point is, in all that is, bad things happen to everybody. It kind of is what it is. But what you need to do is focus on your goal, and the rest will take care of itself. So that's my advice for you this week: is focus on your goals, and I think you'll be very happy with the outcome.
Cool.
So
I'm going to take that. I'm going to use that word too, Tim. You mind if I incorporate that a little bit?
No, I mean, actually, next time I'm upset at you this week, I'll just say, George, focus.
Remember what we talked about? Focus.
Yeah. Focus. Focus. All right, guys, I'm going to go buy a house, so I hope you do so too.
All right. See you guys.